But this was the first time we saw Paige really get guarded. This is where we saw what is going to happen in year 2. This is the scout report that needs to be out there on Paige Bueckers once the Dallas Wings get good, because Dallas Wings are going to get good at some stage in her career. This was the game where I'm like, okay, we can shut up the comparisons right now.
The masquerade is over. The false prophets have been revealed. The WNBA's desperate attempt to manufacture the next superstar just got dismantled on national television. Paige Bueckers, the so-called next Caitlin Clark, the media darling, the chosen one who was supposed to carry the torch, just got her reality check delivered express shipping courtesy of the Seattle Storm. And folks, it wasn't just a wake-up call. It was a full-blown demolition.
Of one Paige Bueckers. Oh, she's better than Caitlin Clark. I mean, stab me in the eye with a spoon, for Christ's sakes. Wow. So that's a thing right now. Last night, Paige Bueckers dropped 44 points. And we're going to look at a video that just dissects and exposes a lot of that shit. Let me tell you. It exposes a lot of stuff involving Paige Bueckers getting special treatment on the court.
For months, we've been force-fed the narrative that Paige Bueckers was the heir apparent to Caitlin Clark's throne. The media painted her as the savior of women's basketball, breaking Clark records faster than a teenager breaks iPhone screens.
Diva of Dump Divas Kat Engelbert is breathing a sigh of relief. Her pretend friends in the mainstream media, they are trying to crown a new star. If the media has it their way, this could potentially be the new face of pretend basketball. And it's not just the woke media. There are even some in conservative media who are voluntarily biting into the shit sandwich. Headline at Outkick. No, Caitlin, no problem. Paige Bueckers can save the WNBA season.
She became the fastest player to reach 200 points and 50 assists in just 11 games, one game quicker than Clark. The headline screamed about her efficiency, her poise, her cerebral approach to the game. ESPN had her ranked 13th in their midseason rankings. The hype train was rolling at full steam, and everyone was buying tickets to the Paige Bueckers experience. But here's the thing about hype. It's just hot air until it meets cold, hard reality. And reality has a name, Seattle Storm defense.
It's a little bit different, huh? It's a little bit different out here when you get Caitlin Clark treatment. It ain't so easy peasy getting to play one-on-one, getting to just do your thing how you want to do it, when you want to do it. Paige Bueckers got the Caitlin Clark treatment for one game, and it got up.
August 22nd, 2025, mark it down as the night the Paige Bueckers myth officially died. Coming off her historic 44-point explosion against the Los Angeles Sparks, Bueckers walked into Seattle expecting to continue her coronation ceremony. Instead, she walked into a buzzsaw that exposed every crack in her supposedly flawless game.
She went off in a game against the Los Angeles Sparks, scoring 44 points, but the craziest part about that was her shooting percentage. She shot over 80% from the field, and I tweeted about that, and I was like, that's actually insane. Give props where they are due. Shooting over 80%, scoring 44 points is actually insane. But with this game, like Paige Bueckers she put on a masterclass in scoring, and I think with that, these are some big numbers, and those are some props that need
11 points. That's what the next Caitlin Clark managed against actual NBA-level defense. Not 11 in the first quarter. Not 11 in the first half. 11 for the entire game. On 2 of 11 shooting from the field. 0 assists. 2 rebounds. The stat sheet looked like a participation trophy at a youth league game. The Storm's defensive coordinator Noel Quinn said it perfectly before the game. After scoring 44 the other night, it was in a variety of different ways, and for us to be able to contain that, we have to be physical. Translation: time to see if this princess can handle the Caitlin Clark treatment. Spoiler alert, she couldn't.
For the game, you said it's going to be important to be physical with like Paige Bueckers. Can you talk about the defensive game plan for Dallas and like how your team was able to hold them to their fewest points of the season?
Yeah, it started, with our attention to detail with Paige. I thought, Slim was very physical, stayed in her space, and the actions that we guarded her in, we were very aggressive, showed multiple bodies, and kind of, made her hesitant to use the ball screen a little bit. I thought we rotated well. And everyone who ended up being on Paige from E on down, I thought we were very...
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. This is where the story gets really interesting, folks. Because while Paige Bueckers was getting her reality check in Seattle, let's talk about what the real next-level superstar has been dealing with all season. Caitlin Clark, the player who actually changed the entire landscape of women's basketball, has been taking hits that would make NFL linebackers wince. The numbers don't lie. 17% of all flagrant fouls in the 2024 WNBA season were committed against Caitlin Clark. That's not basketball, that's target practice.
Paige Bueckers got Caitlin Clark treatment for the first time in her career, and it looked bad. It looked real bad. Everybody was running around. Yeah, she was cooking 44 points versus the Sparks. They didn't play a lick of defense, letting this girl play one-on-one basketball in every area of the floor, letting her post up in the mid-range area one-on-one. Now, I'm giving credit. She's a bucket in one-on-one, especially from that mid-range, from the free throw line down area. But this is the first time we watch teams actively be persistent about taking away her spots and what she wants to do.
The Chicago Sky alone accounted for 80% of the flagrant fouls against Clark. Meanwhile, Paige Bueckers has been getting the kid gloves treatment, floating through games like she's playing in a college scrimmage. When Bueckers finally faced the kind of physical, aggressive defense that Clark deals with every single night, she folded faster than a lawn chair in a hurricane. The Storm made it their mission to be physical with her, to contest every shot, to make her work for every possession. And what happened? She disappeared completely.
Because she got blitzed. She got doubled. And do you want to know what she did as soon as she got blitzed and doubles? She passed. Paige Bueckers, look, she played decent amount early in the game. The game was kind of over and she got subbed out. Paige Bueckers shot 7 times. Paige shot the ball 7.
The media loved to crow about Bueckers' shooting efficiency, 47.4% from the field compared to Clark's rookie season 41.7%. They painted this as evidence that Bueckers was more polished, more ready for the professional level. But here's what they conveniently ignored: Clark was taking the hardest shots in the league while being defended like she had a target on her back. Bueckers' pretty shooting percentages were built on a foundation of soft defense and easy looks. The moment Seattle decided to guard her like the superstar she supposedly was, those percentages crumbled like a house of cards in a tornado. 2 made field goals out of 11 attempts. That's not efficiency, that's exposure. Meanwhile, Clark has been shooting over defenders who are literally trying to hurt her. She's been called for flagrant fouls that weren't even basketball plays. She's been dealing with physical dominance as a defensive strategy. And she's still putting up numbers that make Bueckers' stat sheet look like a rough draft.
Paige Bueckers, let me ask you this. How did it feel to be blitzed and played 94 feet before you even get a chance to bring the ball up court like your name was Caitlin Clark, aka my precious Cece? You didn't like that, huh? You hear me? You out there was looking like you was about to cry. Yeah, so what do your fans have to say now? Excuse me, where are you Paige Bueckers fans at? That's y'all MVP and face of the league, right? She's boring. She's not good enough. She gets special treatment. But understand, she kept getting blitz after blitz after blitz after...
Let's be brutally honest about what we witnessed on August 22nd. Paige Bueckers got a tiny taste of what Caitlin Clark faces every single night, and she crumbled. One game of actual defensive pressure, one game where the opposing team decided to make her work for her shots, and suddenly the next Caitlin Clark looked more like the next player heading to the bench. This is the same player who the media has been propping up as superior to Clark in every measurable way. The same player who was supposedly more cerebral, more fundamentally sound. The same player who broke Clark's records with such ease that analysts were ready to crown her the better player after half a season. But when push came to shove, literally, Bueckers showed she's not built for the spotlight that Clark has been carrying since day one. She's not ready for the physical chess match that happens when teams game plan specifically to stop you. She's certainly not ready for the kind of punishment that Clark absorbs while still delivering historic performances.
I really want to look up how the WNBA played against Caitlin Clark in terms of the defensive strategy, in terms of the other basketball teams around the WNBA, what they did against Caitlin Clark versus how they've handled Paige this year. Everybody wants to act like Paige is so much better than Caitlin. They're certainly not playing defense on Paige the way they played on Caitlin. They're certainly not attacking her with unnecessary fouls the way they attacked Caitlin with unnecessary fouls last year. So in the 2024 season, there were 35 flagrant fouls called. Caitlin Clark received 17% of the entire season's flagrant fouls, 17%. I mean, we've seen all the injuries, we've seen all the fights, the MMA fights that the WNBA players have gotten into this year. There haven't been 35 flagrant fouls called.
While we're talking about manufactured narratives, let's look at some real numbers that put this whole debate to rest. Caitlin Clark's rookie season, 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, 5.7 rebounds per game while being the most targeted player in the league. Paige Bueckers' rookie season, 19.7 points, 5.3 assists, 4.1 rebounds per game while getting the softest defensive treatment in the WNBA. Clark did it while facing flagrant fouls at twice the rate of any other player. Clark did it while coaches literally told their players to be physical with her as a primary defensive strategy. Clark did it while dealing with plays that her own coach called unacceptable. Bueckers did it against teams that were treating her like she was made of glass. And the moment one team decided to flip the script and guard her like the superstar she supposedly was, she completely vanished from the game.
She was minus 17 on the floor. She had 0 assists and 11 points. 0 assists. 0 assists. That's mental. That's mental for a player that they were trying to say was better than Caitlin Clark. And I'm not even going to say, oh yeah, the points are everything. Points aren't everything at the end of the day. Assists aren't everything. Like, all of these individual stats aren't everything. It was just the fact that she literally... How many blitzes did the Indiana... Or how many open shots did the Indiana Fever get off a Caitlin Clark blitz? And albeit, it's very different when you have a short roller in Aaliyah.
The Storm didn't just beat Paige Bueckers, they created a blueprint that every team should be studying. Brittany Sykes took on primary defensive duties, with help from Skylar Diggins, Gabby Williams, and Erica Wheeler. They made Bueckers work for every possession, contested every shot, and refused to give her the easy look she'd been feasting on all season. It's going to take not only the primary defender on her, but our second and third layers of defense to really be locked into the actions that she receives, Storm coach Noelle Quinn explained. They treated her like a superstar, and she couldn't handle it. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark has been dealing with this level of defensive attention since her first day in the league. Teams have been putting multiple defenders on her, hitting her with hard fouls, and doing everything short of actual assault to stop her. And she's still rewriting the record books. Now, Bueckers' defenders will point to her injury history as some kind of excuse for her performance. They'll talk about her torn ACL, her time away from the game, and how she's still finding her rhythm. But that's exactly the point. Clark never got the luxury of excuses. Clark came into the WNBA and immediately became public enemy number one. She faced the hardest defensive schemes, the most physical play, and the most scrutiny from day one. She didn't get a grace period. She didn't get easy games to build her confidence. She got thrown into the fire and came out looking like a Hall of Famer. Bueckers got the red carpet treatment for most of her rookie season, and the moment she faced actual adversity, she folded. That's not the mark of a superstar, That's the mark of a player who was built up by a hype machine that ignored reality.
And when you guard a player like Paige, it's not just relying on, your guards, whoever has the main matchup, but it becomes a team picture, and understanding, rotations on the ball, off the ball. And I think the other thing that we did, early on, we rebounded decently out of it. We didn't give up too many. I think it was 12 second chance points at the half, but not a lot of deflating possessions after having a lot of deflections and things like that.
The most telling part about the Paige Bueckers experiment? Even with all the media hype, even with the manufactured records, even with the softball treatment from opposing defenses, the Dallas Wings are still a disaster. They're 9-28 on the season, eliminated from playoff contention, and looking like they wasted the number 1 pick on Fool's Gold. Compare that to what Caitlin Clark did for the Indiana Fever. She took a team that was one of the worst in the league and turned them into must-see television. She filled arenas, broke viewership records, and made the WNBA relevant to casual sports fans for the first time in years. She didn't just improve her team's record, she improved the entire league's profile. Bueckers can't even win games in a season where everyone was supposedly giving her the benefit of the doubt. What happens when teams start giving her the Caitlin Clark treatment every night? If August 22nd was any indication, it's going to be a long, painful education in what real superstardom looks like.
I bet she would have had at least 9 to 10 assists. You hear me? Because she's more than just a scorer. You hear me? Unlike Paige Bueckers, she's only a scorer. She's not dynamic. She's boring. You hear me? Clearly she fits the narrative, but she can't handle being double team or triple team. She was out there looking like a regular degular. You hear me? Paige who? Huh? What Paige are y'all talking about? The Paige who can't even sell out their own arena unless they playing against.
The most frustrating part of this entire charade has been watching the media desperately try to manufacture a rivalry that doesn't exist. They've spent months trying to convince us that Paige Bueckers was not just comparable to Caitlin Clark, but actually superior. They pointed to shooting percentages while ignoring the context. They highlighted efficiency numbers while overlooking the level of defensive attention each player faced. ESPN ranked Bueckers 13th in their midseason rankings while Clark sits at a higher position despite dealing with exponentially more physical pressure. Here's the harsh reality that the WNBA and its media partners need to accept: there is no next Caitlin Clark. Clark isn't just a great player, she's a generational talent who changed the entire sport. She's the Tiger Woods of women's basketball, the player who transcended the game and brought it to mainstream audiences.
Did you just say Paige Bueckers will save the WNBA season? This season? The same Paige Bueckers that's dating Elmer Fudd? The same Paige that plays in front of empty civic centers for the Dallas Wankers? You expect me to believe she is going to save the WNBA season? She can't even sell out home games. Matter of fact, she doesn't come anywhere close to selling out games. The Wankers rank near the bottom of the league in attendance.
Paige Bueckers isn't the next Caitlin Clark. She's just another talented player who got caught up in a hype machine that was desperate to manufacture the next big thing. When she finally faced the same challenges that Clark overcomes on a nightly basis, she wilted under the pressure. The WNBA can keep trying to prop up pretenders, but August 22, 2025, will be remembered as the night reality came crashing down on their manufactured narrative. Caitlin Clark remains the gold standard, the player who not only elevated her own game but elevated the entire sport. Everyone else is just playing for second place, and based on what we saw in Seattle, some aren't even qualified for that. The agenda has been exposed. The manufactured hype has been deflated. And the real question now isn't who the next Caitlin Clark will be, it's whether anyone will ever reach her level again.